You did it this morning before you even got out of bed. Your eyes weren't fully open. Your alarm had just gone off. And before a single conscious thought formed, your hand was already reaching for it. Your phone. You checked it without deciding to, without wanting to, without knowing why. And if you're honest, you probably checked it 3 more times before you finished your first cup of coffee, not because anything important happened, but because something inside you simply could not stop. That pull you feel? It isn't weakness. It isn't addiction in the way most people use that word. What it actually is goes back hundreds of thousands of years before the phone was ever invented. And once you understand what's really driving that reach, you will never look at your screen the same way again. Here's where it starts. Your brain is not a smartphone. It is not a computer. It is a survival engine built by evolution over millions of years for one single purpose: keep you alive long enough to reproduce. Every reflex you have, every emotion you feel, every habit that takes hold in your mind, all of it was originally engineered for the African savanna, not the modern city. And on that savanna, missing information could kill you. Think about your ancestors, not your great-grandparents. Go back much further. 50,000 years, 100,000. These were humans who lived in small bands of roughly 150 people, exposed to open grassland, to predators, to rival groups, to sudden shifts in weather and food supply. In that world, the most dangerous thing you could do was ignore a signal, a rustle in the grass, a change in the air, a look on someone's face. The brain that noticed and immediately investigated survived. The brain that shrugged and kept walking often didn't. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp spent decades mapping the emotional architecture of the mammalian brain and identified what he called the seeking system. This is a deeply ancient neural circuit found in every mammal studied that drives the organism to scan the environment for new, potentially rewarding information. It lights up not when you find the reward, but when you are looking for it. The anticipation itself is the neurological event. Your ancestors who had a hyperactive seeking system were the ones who found the new water source, discovered the fruit-bearing tree, spotted the danger before it reached the group. They survived. They passed on their genes. You are descended from the seekers. Now consider what your phone is. It is the most perfectly engineered seeking trigger ever created. Every time you check it, there might be a message. There might not. There might be news. There might be nothing. The outcome is unpredictable, and that unpredictability is not a flaw. It is the feature. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner demonstrated in the 1950s that variable reward schedules, where you receive a reward sometimes but not always, and you cannot predict when, produce the most compulsive, persistent behavior of any reward pattern. Rats on a variable schedule press the lever more than rats who always get a reward, because the uncertainty keeps the seeking system engaged. Your ancestors couldn't predict when the fruit tree would have fruit. They checked anyway, every time, because when it did have fruit, the reward was worth it. Your phone runs on exactly that same mechanism. Sometimes there's a message, sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes someone liked your post, sometimes nobody did. You cannot know until you look, and so your ancient brain, optimized by natural selection to seek out unpredictable rewards, treats every check of your screen like a potential discovery on the savanna. The dopamine doesn't spike when you see the notification. It spikes in the moment before when you don't know what you'll find. But there's another layer to this, one that goes even deeper than survival instinct. Humans are profoundly social animals, more social in some ways than almost any other species on Earth. For the vast majority of your evolutionary history, being excluded from your group meant death. Not metaphorical death, actual death. You could not survive alone on the savanna. You needed the group to hunt, to protect against predators, to care for children, to share knowledge, to defend territory. Rejection wasn't embarrassing. It was a death sentence, and your brain evolved to treat social information. Who is in the group? Who is out? Who is talking about you? Who likes you? Who doesn't? As a matter of survival equivalent to food or water. Psychologist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA has shown through neuroimaging studies that the brain processes social pain. Being ignored, being excluded, being disliked, using the same neural pathways as physical pain. Getting left out of a conversation activates the same regions as a sprained ankle. Your brain does not distinguish between social threat and physical threat at the deepest level. They both register as danger. They both demand response. Now look at what your phone is broadcasting to that ancient social brain. Every unanswered message is a possible sign of rejection. Every post that doesn't get a response raises the old alarm. Am I still in the group? Every mention of your name, every notification tied to your social identity, triggers the same system that once tracked your standing in a tribe of 150 people, whose opinion of you determined whether you lived or died. You check your phone because your brain is still doing social math from 50 millennia ago. Has my status changed? Am I still connected? Is there something happening that I've been left out of? The fact that you're checking Instagram rather than scanning faces around a fire does not matter to your nervous system. The math is the same. The urgency is the same. And then there is a third force at work, one that researcher Larry Rosen at California State University has studied extensively. He calls it a techno-anxiety loop. Here's how it works. When you are away from your phone, when it's in another room, or face down, or out of reach, a low-level anxiety activates. Your brain registers the absence of its information stream and interprets it, at a biological level, as a gap in environmental monitoring. The seeking system, deprived of its constant input, starts generating mild stress. The only thing that relieves that stress is checking. And so the check feels like relief, like scratching an itch. But the act of checking resets the baseline, so the anxiety returns faster and faster, and the loop tightens. You are not checking your phone because you enjoy it. You are checking it because your brain has learned that checking it provides temporary relief from a discomfort it itself is creating. This is not a character flaw. This is what happens when a 300,000-year-old nervous system encounters an object designed by engineers who understand exactly how to exploit it. The people who built the notification systems, the infinite scroll, the variable refresh, the red dot that appears on an icon, they understand operant conditioning. They understand the seeking system. They understand social anxiety. They have built a machine that speaks directly to your deepest evolutionary vulnerabilities, and they are very, very good at it. Here is the part that should make you pause. On the savannah, the information your ancestors were seeking was finite. The rustle in the grass either resolved into a predator or it didn't. The fruit tree was either bearing or it wasn't. The information arrived, was processed, and the seeking could rest. Your phone offers no such resolution. The feed never ends. The messages never stop. The news cycle refreshes before you reach the bottom. Your seeking system cannot find the end point it was designed to reach because there isn't one. So it keeps going. It keeps reaching. It mistakes the endless stream for an endless series of unresolved threats, and it escalates the urgency of every check. The pull you feel is ancient. The object it has latched onto is brand new, and that gap between the evolutionary software running in your skull and the technological environment you've placed it in is precisely where modern restlessness lives. When you reach for your phone before you're fully awake tomorrow morning, the hand moving is 100,000 years old. The need beneath it is real. The brain doing the reaching was built to keep you alive, to keep you connected, to keep you scanning a world that once rewarded constant vigilance with survival. It is only the world that has changed. The reach has always been there.